Fox Hill MP Fred Mitchell faced heavy criticism from the Free National Movement. Bahamar developer Sarkis Ismailian submitted a new bid to open Bahamar, and the U.S. State Department issued a scathing warning of the Bahamas over government corruption. We've got those stories and others. I'm your host, Krishna Virgil, and welcome to the Tribune's Top 5. The F&M has criticized the Fox Hill MP, saying he has directly attempted to diminish the authority of House Speaker Dr. Kendall Major. The F&M on Tuesday condemned Mr. Mitchell's petitioning of House Speaker Dr. Kendall Major over several persons he felt were in breach of parliamentary privilege, charging that Mr. Mitchell's actions were an attempt to undermine, weaken, and diminish the authority and integrity of the Speaker. The F&M, in a statement, said Mr. Mitchell's letter to Dr. Major last week was yet another shameful affront to our democracy by a reckless and out-of-control executive. The opposition party said Mr. Mitchell seems to be of the view that the Speaker is a puppet of both the executive branch and the PLP, and is subsequently compelled to accept the executive's blanket contempt for his authority, or face the possibility that he may not receive a nomination for the PLP in the next general election. The F&M also said Mr. Mitchell's letter creates the impression that he is attempting to bring public pressure on the Speaker to influence his decision on the matter advanced by Mr. Mitchell. Charging that Mr. Mitchell has shown contempt for the office of the Speaker, the F&M called for Dr. Major to condemn and reprimand Mr. Mitchell at his earliest opportunity at the next sitting of Parliament. Last week, Mr. Mitchell wrote a letter to Dr. Major in which he rebuked attempts by Save the Bay's lawyers and attorney Fred Smith QC to question members of Parliament about the leak of its emails in the House of Assembly or legally suppress information. Mr. Mitchell also outlined several persons he felt had breached parliamentary privilege in response to the email leak, including Data Protection Commissioner Charmy Farrington Austin. At the time, Mr. Mitchell declared that parliamentary privilege was a primary and unassailable right that could not be dismissed by half-baked lawyers and misdirected public officials and courts. The letter was released by Bahamas Information Services. Sidney Colley was elected chairman of the Free National Movement on Thursday night, defeating Rodney Monker by 62 votes. Mr. Colley has been a member of the F&M for 39 years, serving as senator, deputy leader, cabinet minister, ambassador, and MP for the Blue Hills constituency. He said, quote, "I'm honored and excited to be elected chairman of a party that has always put the people first. It's a fact that the F&M serves the people first, foremost, and always. So I assure you that as chairman, I will stand firm against the intrusion of eccentric foreign billionaires who think their money gives them a free pass to do whatever they want. I will stand shoulder to shoulder with everyone in this party to fight for a better tomorrow for us all, not just for a few. It is truly the people's time in the Bahamas," end quote. Dr. Minnis, the F&M leader, welcomed Mr. Colley's election as a positive step forward for our country and for our community. "He is a man of great honor," Dr. Minnis said. "He is a leader who has always put his country, family, and honor at the forefront. I'm thrilled to have him head into an exciting and important time with him on the team." Mr. Colley was elected ahead of Rodney Monker, the only other candidate, by 89 votes to 27, and succeeds Michael Pintard as chairman. Grenzel Roll acted as chairman after Mr. Pintard resigned on March 21st. Bahamar developer Sarkis Ismailian, in a letter to the president of the Export-Import Bank of China, has asked him to accept a new offer to open the resort. Prime Minister Perry Christie has said Bahamar developer Sarkis Ismailian is deserving of every consideration regarding his newly submitted plans to the Export-Import Bank of China, as he eyes regaining control of the resort with a view to completing and opening the stalled West Bay Street project. Mr. Christie said he recently met with the developer to discuss a number of new offers to the bank and has since written officials to confirm that they received the new plans. In an interview broadcast on R News, he said he has also inquired as to whether the EXIM Bank plans to give consideration to these offers. Meanwhile, Gowan Bowe, chairman of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation, insisted on Monday that Mr. Ismailian was well within his right, as he is the mastermind behind the resort, to make a bid to regain control of the property. However, despite this new bid by Mr. Ismailian, Mr. Bowe said stakeholders have to respect the fact that this matter will have to play out in the court. Mr. Ismailian, in a letter sent on Monday, asked the president of the EXIM Bank to accept his offer to complete and open the stalled resort, promising to rehire Bahamian employees while ensuring that the bank does not accept a discount on its debt. The Prime Minister on Sunday announced that the time had come for men and women in the country to enjoy the same rights in the Constitution, as he announced that the gender equality referendum will be held on June 7th. Mr. Christie stressed that the referendum did not propose radical change, pushing back against what he calls false rumors or incorrect information. He emphasized that the controversial Fourth Constitutional Amendment would not lead to same-sex marriage. The proposed change seeks to update Article 26 of the Constitution to outlaw discrimination based on sex. He also pointed out that because the upcoming vote is a constitutional referendum, the people's choice was final. He said, quote, "There have been some questions about the intent and the possible effects of this change," as he referred to the Fourth Amendment. The purpose of this amendment is only to ensure that Bahamian men and women are equal under the law. I am going to emphasize that in the Bahamas, by law, under the Matrimonial Causes Act, marriage must be between a man and a woman, and this amendment will not change that. Mr. Christie added, "In fact, the lawyers who drafted the language of the amendment went out of their way to protect traditional marriage by defining sex as meaning male or female. The language is clear, and the intent of Parliament, which any future court is likewise obliged to consider, is also crystal clear." Mr. Christie pointed out that there were no previous cases in similar Commonwealth countries wherein such a change led to a judicially created right to same-sex marriage. "I repeat," he said, "this referendum will not cause same-sex marriage to become legal in the Bahamas. Marriage in the Bahamas will be legal only if it is between a man and a woman, and a male and female are determined at birth." On Monday, the United States State Department issued a scathing report highlighting the Christie administration's ineffectiveness at implementing anti-corruption laws. The U.S. State Department identified the government's ineffectiveness at implementing corruption laws as the reason officials engage in illegal practices without consequence, citing a vulnerable contract procurement process in a newly released report. In its 2015 country report on human rights practices in this country, the U.S. said the government procurement process was opaque, given that there were no requirement for open public tenders or allowance for award decisions to be reviewed. The report noted that there were frequent reports of government corruption during the year, but did not give specific examples. It read, quote, "The law provides criminal penalties for corruption by officials. However, the government did not implement the law effectively, and officials engaged in corrupt practices with impunity." The procurement process was particularly susceptible to corruption as it is opaque, contains no requirement to engage in open public tenders, and does not allow award decisions to be reviewed. In October, the government charged a former state energy company board member under the Prevention of Bribery Act, the first significant case brought under the act since 1989. Former board member of the Bahamas Electricity Corporation, Freddie Solomon Ramsey, was charged with 4 counts of conspiracy to commit bribery and 14 counts of bribery allegedly committed between 1999 and 2003. The allegations are related to a widespread scheme involving tens of millions of dollars in bribes to countries around the world. They were brought to light in late 2014 in a U.S. Department of Justice report, which said that French power company Alstom SA allegedly paid more than $300,000 to a BC board member to influence contracts to a French company between 1999 and 2003. On the subject of corruption and government transparency, the Human Rights Report also took issue that there was no independent verification of annual public disclosures from senior public officials and called the annual submission rate weak unless it was an election year. Financial disclosures must be turned into the Public Disclosures Commission by March each year. According to the Public Disclosures Act, a summary of the declaration shall be published in a gazette, and any person who does not comply with the law is liable to a fine not exceeding $10,000 or imprisonment of not more than 2 years. Want to get in on the discussion? Well, here's how you can. Just log on to our website at www.tribune242.com. Like us on Facebook, the Tribune News Network. Send us a tweet at Tribune242 or subscribe to our YouTube page, Tribune242.